this segment we're going to look at recoil control. Recoil control is all about getting your sight picture back on the target. IPSC shooting is all about speed. You want to be able to get the gun back and shoot your next shot as quickly as possible. Accuracy and speed, that's the goal. Recoil control involves your whole body. It's not just about the grip. Too many people think they can overpower the gun and try and keep the gun from recoiling by gripping tighter. It's a very common mistake. You really have to build your position so that your entire body works for you, from your feet all the way up to your head, to maximize your recoil control, help get your gun back on the target quicker. So here we go. We're going to first take a look at our body position. You want to be standing in a stance that's aggressive. It's very much a fighting stance where your weight is on your leading foot. On both feet you feel that your weight is more towards your toes than your heels. Your shoulders are leaning in towards the target to keep your body mass and your weight behind the gun. You must be careful that you don't allow your head to be too far upright, because if your head is too straight, it'll have a tendency of drawing your eyes back and your head back as you fire multiple shots. That'll be bad for your recoil control. Wide stance, knees slightly bent, head forward, shoulders forward, elbows at an angle, elbows slightly bent, not completely locked, as that will just drive the recoil back into your shoulders. The grip on the gun is critical. You really have to pay attention to the fact that you need to get your strong hand up behind the beaver tail on the gun, up behind the back of the grip as high as you possibly can. The reason a gun lifts in recoil is because you're gripping the gun below the height of the barrel. If you were able to grip the gun directly behind the barrel, the gun would recoil straight back and wouldn't lift at all. But because the guns are designed to grip below the height of the barrel, they tend to lift. The higher you can get behind the slide and behind the barrel, the better recoil control you'll have. So make sure you position the web of your hand up as high as you can behind the beaver tail. Your left hand plays a critical part in supporting the gun in recoil. Make sure that you position your thumb on a thumb rest, if possible, closing your fingers over the fingers of your support hand, of your strong hand. Some shooters like to have their index finger of their left hand on the trigger guard. Personally, I prefer to keep it down below thumb rest, wrapped around the grip for a full hand double grip. Demonstrating directly towards the camera, this is the stance that you're looking for. Make sure you don't over grip the gun. Don't try and keep it on target. Keep your body weight and a good solid grip working for you. Keep the gun back on the target. Many people over grip the gun to prevent it from moving in their hand. They feel that if they don't grip tightly, the grip shifts while they're shooting at high speed. What you really want to do is you want to make sure that you checker the grip of the gun as much as possible. You really make it sharp so that it doesn't move in your hand even when you're not gripping it too tightly. I like to build up my grips so that they better fit the actual contour of my hand in the shooting position. I feel that that gives me a bigger surface area of full contact. That gives me better recoil control. Another thing which can help you control the gun in recoil is a grip enhancer like the Pro Grip. That will increase the friction between your hand and the gun, prevent the gun from moving all that much, will enable you to shoot well without over gripping the gun. If you become too tight on your grip, things fall apart. You're not able to trigger as well, you're not able to transition between targets as well. It has only downsides. Learn to control your gun without over gripping it. And when you put all that together and it works well for you, you can pump rounds into the target at high speed. Correct technique versus incorrect technique is very easy to see on the target. If I have a couple of targets downrange, they're about 12 yards out. If I'm standing in a stance which is too upright, with the weight too far back and too fully extended, my recoil control will suffer greatly, and that'll show up on the target as well. I'll try and shoot a couple of rounds now in a bad body position. Feet on the same line, weight on my heels, head straight, weight back. Recoil control is difficult, and on the target it'll look bad as well. Being in a body position like that does not allow me to control the recoil. The gun will drive me back and out of position. Whereas if I set up more solidly, shift my stance so that I'm leading with my foot, my weight is forward on the balls of my feet, my knees are bent, shoulders forward, weight behind the gun. Now I'll be able to control the recoil much more effectively and put better hits on the target. Let's go downrange and take a look. So this was the first target that I shot where my body position was no good. The weight was back, the head was straight, all the balance was back. It was impossible for me to control the recoil while I was shooting. And I've got a couple of shots off the target as well and a couple of Ds and far Cs. That's not going to work. But all I did later on was shift my position so that I got more weight behind the gun, bent my elbows a little bit, made sure my head was low enough and that my stance was good, and I was able to follow the recoil of the gun back on the target much faster and put rounds in it. So as the targets clearly show, good recoil control involves your entire body. You have to make sure your center of gravity is forward behind the gun. Use your body weight to control the gun. Make sure you have the right grip. Make sure you don't overgrip the gun. Use the grip enhancers and the friction on the grip to keep the gun in place. Keep your head forward. You'll be able to control the gun and get it back on target quicker.